So it turns out socializing without alcohol can be much better. I'm going to give you 7 reasons for that. I swear it makes sense. Stick around. This is really interesting because you might think that alcohol makes it better because you're more comfortable and therefore you connect with people better. And I think there's a case to be made for that. You know, I'm not anti-alcohol. If drinking a little bit helps you connect with others, you know, like, all right, we can talk about that. But as you're about to find out, alcohol can actually make it more difficult to connect with others because while you might feel that you connect with others more because you're more comfortable, there's actually things that happen when you're drunk or tipsy that while you might not recognize it, actually make you less aware of things, which is a big problem, right? So like the first reason is that being sober makes you more present, okay? I looked this up, by the way, I wanted to make this video and I was like, I noticed that I often socialize better when I'm sober. So what's up with that, right? So I did some research. Like, I'm not a scientist or anything, but I looked it up. So the first reason, you're more present when you're sober, okay? You're more mindful, right? In fact, there's a 2009 study that proved that alcohol makes it harder to focus and makes you more likely to sort of, it leads to mind wandering and makes you less engaged, which, like, no shit. Like, we didn't need a study to know that, okay? But that's good to keep in mind. So being sober makes you more present, and it's very important to be present to truly connect with people, all right? Reason number 2, alcohol increases self-focus, all right? So you talk more about yourself, and, well, self-focus is the worst thing ever to connect with people. I've noticed this, by the way, about people on cocaine as well. Like, every time I've met someone on cocaine, like, sometimes I don't know they're on cocaine, and then they mention they're on cocaine. I'm like, oh, that's why you keep talking about yourself. So cocaine is probably, like, way worse for that. Reason number 3, alcohol makes you like people more, which sounds like a good thing, but then the effect goes away once you're sober. In fact, I remember this from, this is a bit of a cliche about Scandinavian countries, right? And I went to Norway a few years ago, and I partied with these people, very friendly Norwegians, like very warm. They would buy me beers. But at first, when I arrived at the house party, they were very unfriendly and cold. But then, like, when we started drinking, they were super friendly. But then the next day, it was so awkward. Right? So that was like the perfect example. Like, you become buddies with people, but then the next day you're like, ugh, like, you know, feels very different. That's not always the case. Sometimes you make friends while drunk, and you stay friends. But, you know, that's often not the case. It can create the illusion that you're becoming friends with people, whereas you're not really. That's the problem when you become friends with people that you only see when drinking. It's like, well, how genuine is that friendship, right? So that's worth thinking about. Now, reason number, I think, 4 is, I have it right here, I'm reading it. Alcohol makes it harder to read social cues, all right? Now, listen, I would argue even when you're sober, it might be hard to read social cues. Some people are not very good at it. Some people think they're good at reading people, but they're not, okay? But alcohol is definitely going to make that worse. In fact, I had this conversation with someone about a year ago. We're talking about this in the context of meeting women, right? And I was drinking alcohol-free beer, and the guy was, oh yeah, I love the fact that you don't drink, and he was talking about the benefits of approaching women at a bar when you're sober. He's like, well, it's actually better when you're sober because, like, when you're drunk, you're kind of like, what's up? And you don't realize that you're making a fool out of yourself. You don't realize that you're being annoying, right? You might be confident, but is it worth being extra confident like that if you're actually just really annoying and you're making people uncomfortable, right? So yeah, being sober makes it easier to realize that you're being annoying, and it makes it easier to figure out if the person is comfortable or not, if they want to talk to you, things like that, right? Now, reason number 5, alcohol actually leads to less eye contact for some reason. And eye contact is very important, right? I mean, I don't know if you've ever talked with someone who just never looks at you. It's like, well, what's going on? Like, are you like, do you hate me? There's something about looking into each other's eyes that makes the interaction with that increases connection like crazy. And when you don't look at someone in the eyes, it's completely different, right? And a lot of people don't make eye contact because they're uncomfortable. But yeah, alcohol leads to less eye contact. Therefore, that's bad. Now, reason number 6 is that alcohol makes you less empathetic. Leads to less empathy, and as you may know, this may be obvious, but empathy is very important for social connection, right? If you want to bond with someone, if you want to really get to know someone and become friends with them, empathy is going to be really important. Now, some people might argue empathy is bad and you should have compassion rather than empathy. We can talk about the semantics and the exact definitions, but whatever. You get my point. Empathy or compassion. I don't know why I'm dancing right now. Empathy or compassion, those are very good things. Now, reason number 7, which is the final reason from my list, but I'm sure we can come up with 100 reasons. Maybe I'll make another video about this. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do that. By the way, I also have my newsletter that you should sign up for. You'll see in the description, and you can click on that and also book a free call with me if you want to maybe work together so I can help you fast track your way to making friends. You'll find the link to my Calendly by signing up for my newsletter. But reason number 7. Let's get on with it. Alcohol lowers social anxiety, but it lowers social anxiety in the short run when you're drunk or tipsy. I'm sure you know that. If you're someone who drinks, that might be even the main reason why you drink when you're being social, because there's less social anxiety. But it gives you more social anxiety on the long run. So if you're a socially anxious person, right, and you're like, oh, how can I stop being socially anxious? And you drink regularly, maybe that's the main obstacle. Just like stop drinking, right? And I mean, that's a big problem, because then it makes you dependent. I think that this is related to this reason, I would say, something I've noticed. And one of the main reasons I try to limit my drinking, I say this, but I drank a lot this weekend. I will often go weeks, if not months, without drinking. And then even when I do drink, it's like 1 or 2 beers. So this weekend was an exception. But one of the main reasons that I don't want to depend on alcohol to be confident, okay? I just, there's something, maybe it's about pride. I don't know, it's like, I want to be like truly confident. I don't want to need alcohol. And obviously, of course, if you depend on it, then it's unhealthy. So I would encourage you to try, just to force yourself to not drink, not necessarily stop altogether. If you don't want to be sober, that's fine. But I think it would be a good exercise just to become more confident in general. Because again, I hear this a lot. Like I was talking with a friend, and we're talking about doing something that requires more courage. And he was like, "Well, I might need like 4 beers in me before I do that." And I was like, "That's interesting." People say that a lot, right? I need liquid courage, and it's like, I get it, but do you really want to depend on poison to live fully? You don't, right? So I think it's worth practicing that. And as I said, if you want to drink once, I'm not going to tell you, whether or not you should drink. I'm not a sober coach or anything, but I think it's important to talk about socializing in different contexts and the benefits of not drinking or limiting your alcohol consumption. So I hope this was useful. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments, what you thought about this. If you have any other tips for people who maybe want to stop drinking, if you have any useful information, any ideas maybe for future videos, I would love to hear your thoughts. And yeah, that's it. Press like, subscribe, all that thing. I really appreciate your support. And let's please help me help other men make friends. All right, this is it's my mission. So thank you.